name is Patrick von Sahovsky, and I'm the head of strategy for film and media services for Reliance MediaWorks, which is an Indian-based film and media services company.
What's the sort of status of digital cinema in India at the moment?
Well, the thing you have to remember about India is that before there was digital cinema, e-cinema was the big thing in India. In fact, it's the only territory where a standard lower than 2K has taken off for first-run films. So today there are literally 2,000-3,000 screens around India where you can watch a first-run feature film released day and date on a low-end HD or sub-HD standard. So when, and my company was actually one of the pioneers in that but withdrew from it. When 2K came along, people didn't know was it going to take off given the fact that there's already a technology, but it has taken off in a big way in India in a relatively short amount of time, and that's because there's been tremendous support by the local film industry, the Bollywood, the Hindi language film industry, and the Tamil and Telugu, the South Indian, and so on. So digital cinema has taken off. We were one of the first big cinema chains to install 2K in our own theaters, using predominantly Barker projectors, but also other ones. And it's taken off through third-party integrators like Scrabble, who have done deals with most of the other multiplexes and have rolled out digital cinema in a fairly big way. So much so that today I'd say there's about 300, probably close to 300 screens across India. And in some of the big Indian cities, today you'd be hard-pressed to find a multiplex that was still showing a feature film on analog film as opposed to digital. India is still going through a multiplex boom. It's a very underscreened country compared to somewhere like the United States. It has 1/15 the amount of cinema screens compared to the size of the population as the US does. So there's still a lot of catching up to do.
Then my next question is about sort of the technology then. You mentioned the lower spec sort of e-cinema ones and obviously the 2K is the standard, and now there's 4K coming along. There's quite a few questions that come off of that. First of all, about sort of the pros and cons to using each of the technologies, I guess.
Well, we love 4K for the simple reason that at heart we started out as a film company, analog film company, processing film negative, and so we've known that there's always that much detail and information in the original film that was captured that can't be shown on the screen with a 2K projector. We've in fact been 4K as a film and media service company for a long time, even though on the cinema side it's not 4K yet. So Reliance was the first company in India to build a post-production facility where the workflow, right from the film coming in and being scanned off the original negative to being delivered, was on 4K. So the whole DI, digital intermediate, the color grading process was in 4K, uncompressed 4K. So it's almost frustrating that a film gets shot on 35mm, gets scanned in 4K, gets worked on in 4K, and then at the last stage, unfortunately, you've got to still take it down to 2K. So it doesn't fully capture everything that was there in the film leading up to the final end.
So I'm still fairly new into my quest into 4K. My initial thought was that 4K is kind of like the equivalent of 70mm and 35 the 2K. So kind of it's almost the 35mm, 70mm argument that was for film. Do you think that's a fair assessment of 2K versus 4K and the way that perhaps cinemas may consider to use it in the future?
I think, yes, that is a good assessment of it today. I think moving forwards in the future, we're going to find that 4K is the minimum professional standard. 2K is really the high-end consumer standard today in terms of what you can get from HD camcorders and able to screen on your Macs or PCs, laptops. 2K is there for the consumer, but in the future 4K is going to be really the basic minimum for the professionals. And 4K isn't even the final destination. We've seen ultra high definition from the Japanese. I don't see that coming for another 20 years or 10 to 20 years, so and no projectors for that. But we have other changes as well, such as high dynamic range. We're big believers in that from our film restoration side. Again, it comes back to that thing about being more information in the original camera negative than not just 2K or 4K, but even the grade, the colors that you can expand for it, and the latitude. We've only just scratched the surface with today's technologies and projectors, so 4K is really the important milestone that we have to reach in order to make all of these things visible to cinema goers.
This last question then. I'm really conscious that I know lots of small independent cinemas and student cinemas right across the country who are only one screen, maybe part-time. They will be thinking about going over to digital now, having to raise the funds. For them, this is a one-hit opportunity, and they've got to get it right. And with 4K coming along, that's kind of, potentially muddied the waters for them. What sort of advice would you give to them for those that are thinking about that, when it's such a critical choice for them?
Yeah. I would tell anybody who's thinking about switching over from analog to digital is don't think so much about do I need to go to 2K, do I need to go to 4K, but rather what can I do with it when I go digital. If you're swapping out for the sake of technology and you think of which technology, then it's not going to benefit you, and it's not going to make a big difference whether you're switching to 2K and 4K. Is it going to enable me to show new things? Is it going to be able to show things differently? Is it going to be able to tap into what my local community wants to watch and how it wants to watch it? Do I want a new screen, new type of events, operas on the big screen? Do I want to have small film clubs? So don't be driven by technology, or don't fetishize 2K versus 4K. If you go with 2K, you're perfectly fine, and you'll be perfectly fine for the lifetime of that projector. If you can, obviously I'd suggest go to 4K, but above all, think of what it is that you want digital to do for you. Don't just switch it in because you think you have to. Work out the reason for it and work out your own reason for it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Patrick.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
And to you. Thank you very much.
Good luck on your quest.
Cheers. Thank you.